I've been a Pilates instructor in London for a while now. I've been fired 3 times and I've quit twice, and I've avoided plenty and plenty of studios who have asked me to work for them. But nowadays, I feel my career is pretty on track, going pretty well. My classes are full. I'm in leadership roles. And to be honest, I'm pretty happy, which is the main thing. But getting to this point meant learning the hard way that some studios just are not a fit. I'm not objectively a difficult person to manage, but I do have certain deal breakers, which I've kind of had to learn through trial and error, what works for me and what doesn't. Now, this video isn't a name and shame. It is a guide if you are a new instructor or maybe even an old one that's starting to feel burned out. I'm going to share the 4 studio types that I avoid like the plague and why some of them might actually be killing your career. So let's get started. Studio type number 1, the silent studio. This is studios that do not allow music at all, nada, zero. Now, this is quite a me one. I am not against this. I'm not against studios not having music. For certain people, silence helps concentration. For me, it does the opposite, both as an instructor and as a participant. So traditionally, there wasn't music during Pilates, but I feel that the context of classes and how classes are as a whole has kind of changed. So traditionally, Joseph Pilates era, everyone kind of did their own thing. You were making your way through the equipment. Joseph Pilates was kind of there guiding you along, but it wasn't a formal class where everyone was doing the same thing. Not to mention, in that era, the music, it was far more limited, both in genre, but also in how you'd play it and how the acoustics were. Like if you've seen this sort of archival footage of Joseph Pilates in his studio in New York, like it wasn't pretty. It wasn't aesthetic. Like I imagine it like a sort of backdoor gym with a lot of clunking and stuff going on. Then to have music over the top of that, especially as during that era, it was like the era of jazz, which is pretty like chaotic. Like it wouldn't have worked. I get it. Nowadays, we've got a lot of group classes, which has taken a lot of influence from the dancer and aerobic world, which is heavily, heavily influenced by music. So to me, it actually doesn't make sense not have music in the background guiding you on both sides of the coin as well. As a teacher, if it's silent, I get this urge to just fill it with my words. And then I end up nonstop talking, which is one of the most annoying classes for me, is the instructor that doesn't let you have a moment to figure it out. If it is silent, I become that instructor. Because as a participant, when I'm in that position and there's silence completely, I start to hone into all the different little noises. I'm not inwardly focused on my body. I'm thinking about, I can hear the reformer creaking over there. I can hear the person's breath across the room. I can hear the people outside laughing. None of these noises are bad, but it feels kind of uncomfortable. This might be more of a me thing, but it is something to consider that some studios don't allow that. I'm not going to make my political campaign about why all Pilates should have music because I don't think it should. If people don't want it, if people generally feel happy with that, great, but I do not. That's number 1. Okay, so the second type of studio I will avoid is studios with 6 beds or less. And there are a few reasons for this. And I will caveat that if they have 6 beds or less, but they are part of a gym or something else that has revenue, then that's kind of a little bit different, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But these small boutique studios that have just 6 reformers, they will often operate under if your class is empty, you don't get paid. And the likelihood of your class being empty is actually much, much higher. These studios are often charging the same or more than their competitors. And then because they're earning less, they're not paying their instructors as well. So this is where it comes in. If they've got something else going on and they're still paying you, even if your class isn't full or even if your class only has 1 person, then that's another thing. Because remember, while it is your job to help retain clients, when you're brand new, it takes time to build up that relationship and trust, and as well the word of mouth, because the members will speak to one another about the instructors they like and where they're going to go. So that's the first reason. And that is more of everyone should pay attention to that. The second one, which is more of a me thing, but some people are going to relate to it, is I find more than 3, less than 6 people a very weird amount of people to teach to if they booked onto that concept. It's different if it was meant to be 10 people and 5 people show up because they were expecting a class, I would say, a 10-person class with a little bit of attention. But 3 to 6, if they've chosen that, I'm like, were you booking onto this because you wanted a group class where you kind of want me to, I don't want to say ignore you, but give you a lot of space? Or were you thinking that you wanted a smaller group class because you want more one-on-one attention? It's kind of like, I don't quite know what people's expectations are. And it changes on the day. I just don't understand it. Fewer than 3, like a sort of duet, that I consider like a one-on-one or like a duet. So that's fine. The expectations are clear. We booked on because we wanted to work on specific things. You wanted my eyes on you. That's almost like just a social / expectations thing that I find personally hard to navigate and manage. And because I have work at places I like, I don't need to do it. Okay. So studios I avoid. Number 3 is the no compete clause. Some studios have in the contract that you cannot work at other studios nearby. And this is a massive red flag for me. It is not instructor centric. They're thinking of them, not about what's best for you. If a studio has enough confidence in their brand, in their product, then they know that the best instructors are in demand. And they're not going to put them on a leash saying you can't make income, because that's what they're doing by giving you this non-compete clause. They're preventing you from getting income elsewhere, which is even worse if they're only offering you like one block of classes. And this is the reason, or one of the reasons I actually quit one of my studios. I'm going to go into that part at the end. But I do find this non-compete clause kind of like the mindset that it represents. It's representing scarcity mindset rather than abundance. They aren't confident enough in their brand that they think they can bring in new clients or keep clients without you. And that's a lot of pressure. Not to mention it's unfair on you, but there's a reason we're self-employed as instructors. It's so that we can work where we want to work, the hours we want to work. There's a lot of cons to being self-employed, but this is supposed to be one of the pros, that we're not owned. That was something I struggled with massively in employment, was I hated feeling like someone else had control over what I could do and what I couldn't. Of course, there's professional limits, what you can and can't do. And of course, you're not going to be at one studio recommending they go to the other one. That is gross misconduct. You don't do that as a professional. You treat all your studios with love. So yeah, if they are saying that you can't work somewhere else within a 1-mile radius or something like that, run, don't walk. It says a lot about what they think about you and what they think about themselves and their product. This is my biggest red flag for a studio, as it is the main reason I quit the 2 that I quit. And that is the one-man band. What I mean by this is that the studio owner is also the main teacher, who is also the marketer, who is also the social media manager, the salesperson, the admin, and everything. It is just not possible to do it all and run things smoothly. And I always wonder why, if you own a studio, are you prioritizing your time towards teaching all of the classes? That is something that can be so easily outsourced and is beneficial to outsource to other instructors. And I've come to the reasoning that there are 2 main reasons. It can be either or a combo of both. Number 1 is ego and ideology. In other words, they think the way they teach is the best way. And they think that if they don't teach, then clients are going to move studios because the other instructors aren't good enough and don't teach the way they teach, which is terrible. So it's not only the fact that you're trying to distribute all your time, it's the fact that it really shows a lack of trust and belief in your own instructors. The second reason is thinking about profit. If they're teaching 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week to save money, then this is a bad business model. Not only can they not take time off as easily and burn out because they have so many classes to cover if they need to get away, and probably a lot of the instructors aren't that invested in the studio, because if they were, you would give them your hours as the business owner. Like, oh, they're doing well. The clients like them. I can take some of my classes away and give them to this person. Why not? Especially the more comfortable hours. So the daytime classes that a lot of instructors really, really want. And it has to be to save money. But you shouldn't be thinking about saving money. Of course, this doesn't mean you should spend money on left, right, and center. There are ways to be smart about not overspending, but this is one of the things you just have to spend money on. And those studios that are, okay, so it's usually one of those 2 or maybe a combination of both. So the 2 studios I have quit have been because of this. One of them was also a little bit of the small group thing, but largely because of the one-man band. Because what happens with a one-man band, if they are focused on teaching all of the classes is that the business never kind of lifts off and they never really have the budget to expand, to grow, and they can't deliver to you. They can't deliver to the clients, and everything is messy and people move. So how this affects you as an instructor, or how it affected me, very, very late on payment. I had to chase invoices on one of these 2 studios. I had to chase an invoice for 2 months. Imagine I'm relying on that income to pay my rent. Not great financial strategy, by the way, but imagine like you are entitled to have that money on time. Other things are little chaotic slip-ups. Things like with those studios, it happened more than once that I would be outside of the studio, not able to get in because there was no reception staff. I didn't have a key because they didn't trust me with it. Not because I'd done anything. They didn't trust other staff with it. It was their thing. They're very protective of it. I was there trying to mitigate damage with clients. Like, I, as a professional, don't want to trash talk the studio. Like, oh, well, she obviously forgot. Like, oh, I'm sure something explainable is happening. Also, at the same time, being very pissed off that I'm standing there trying to deal with that situation. And then how it affects the client, which by de facto affects you, is they're not getting their membership queries resolved. They're not getting their credits updated on time. They ask for a refund and they don't get it. And they're coming to you and they see you as part of the staff of the studio. So they think, not everyone, but a lot of the clients will think that you can help them and it's partly your problem and you're like part of this whole thing of being unprofessional and chaotic. And it's like really hard to deal with because you want to help them, but you can't. You don't have access to that stuff as an instructor. And I remember as well, sorry, we're going on like a whole personal life story here. One of these one-man bands, she hadn't been paying attention to the electric bill. So she was really over on 1 month. And then she told us that we couldn't turn on all the fans for the clients. I was like, that is so bad. Imagine you're paying £25 a class. There are 8 fans. And you're being told, no, you can't have all of them on because it's too expensive. It makes me mad to think about. So I quit those 2. I'm not saying it's the case for every studio where the owner is teaching a lot. It's just a pattern I've noticed. And you can kind of tell when they're trying to recruit you, if you're dealing with that kind of instructor or owner. They will be late and scatty with messages. They will reschedule times. They will appear a little bit overly nice to start with because they are so desperate for staff, because this management strategy is not good and they keep losing staff. So if they seem overly keen to get you on board, seem a little bit chaotic with messages associated with that they prefer things like Instagram message rather than email. I'm not totally against communication through Instagram if everything else is aligned and it's professional, but if they're really like chaotic and then don't want to do email, that is a really bad sign because that's already showing that they just don't look at their emails. Then yeah, so look out for that one. And finally, on this point, if you are watching this as someone who wants to open a studio rather than a new instructor, then this is a really bad strategy for you as well. The reason you're opening a studio is likely because you don't want to be teaching 20, 30 hours a week. And if your staff see you as someone who will come to the rescue with all the cover, even with the best of intentions, you're not going to set yourself up for success in the long run. You set the tone from the business from day one. If you've got all the classes, then you're gonna struggle ever getting cover for yourself to take a break. And instructors are also going to rely on you a little bit to cover for them. Oh, well, so-and-so can teach it. She's around, she's teaching in the day. It's her business, her priority. I'm not saying this is a good thing of instructors to do it. It's just human psychology and behavior that if you're there all the time, they know you can do it. And they know that you're doing it a lot. So why not an extra 3 if you're already doing 25? All of the studios I work at, the owners are not teaching a single class, nor have they done from day one. What they have actually done is built up the schedule bit by bit. So they start with peak times, and then they maybe add a class, and then they add non-peak times, and then they play a little bit with it. You're going to learn the patterns, and you're better off building a system where the instructors will support one another rather than relying on you to do that. If they don't see you as an option, then they won't see you as an option. So final point of the day, if you're a brand new instructor and need the cash, ignore everything I've just said. Take the job, get the experience, have an exit plan, and be aware of what you're getting into so that you set your expectations in the right place. But if you're already in a 9 to 5 and you're not with any urgency to quit, then just wait for the right ones to come along. But if you're in a situation where you're not in a rush to get permanent classes, I would say it's going to give you a much better relationship with the industry if you hold off for the ones that you really align with. Most likely, the ones that you really align with are going to be the ones you've been training at, where your favorite instructors are. Because often we resonate with the instructors, not only on the movements they give, but on their kind of personal level and approach. I really like playful instructors who crack jokes, who don't take it too seriously. As much as I love the technical stuff, you can tell when someone has knowledge and you can tell when they don't. It's not about how many words they say, it's about which ones they say and how effective they are. So likely if I see an instructor who is like that, teaching at a studio, with that kind of personality, it would be somewhere I would vibe with as well. If you are an instructor, I'm very curious to know if you have any of your own red flags for studios that I haven't mentioned. If you are looking for work and you're in the London area, do feel free to DM me on Instagram. While I'm not a recruiter, I am like balls deep in the industries. I sort of know where is looking for work. So I can at least spam you with opportunities. And do also let me know either in the comments or via Instagram message how many questions, any videos you want me to make. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. Other than that, that's it from me today. And I will see you next time.